that says, leave it with Allah. And so you stay silent. And the silence feels like losing. It feels like the lie is winning. Like the misunderstanding is spreading. Like every moment you do not speak, something is being taken from you that you cannot get back. But what if that silence, the one that is costing you so much right now, is actually the most powerful thing you could possibly do? What if the moment you close your mouth before people is the exact moment Allah opens his hand, forgive me, the exact moment Allah extends mercy and steps forward on your behalf? This reminder is not going to tell you that silence is easy. It is not. It is going to show you what your silence is actually doing. In the unseen world, in the knowledge of Allah, in the story Allah is writing for you. Right now, in the quiet, let me sit with you in something for a moment. Not rush past it. Not quickly offer you comfort before you have felt fully understood. Just sit with you in the reality of what choosing silence actually costs. Because everyone talks about the reward of patience. Everyone talks about the beauty of trusting Allah. Everyone talks about how silence is strength. Nobody talks about how much it hurts. Nobody talks about what it feels like to swallow words that are true, to watch a lie spread and say nothing, to hear your character being described inaccurately and smile, or stay quiet, or simply walk away. Nobody talks about the burning, that specific internal burning of knowing the truth and choosing not to say it, of having every right to speak and choosing not to, of watching people form opinions about you that you could correct in 60 seconds and choosing not to. That is not a small thing. That is one of the heaviest things a believer can carry. And the world does not make it easier. The world says, speak up, defend yourself. If you stay silent, people will assume the worst. If you do not correct the record, nobody else will. Silence means agreement. Silence means weakness. Silence means you have already lost. That is what the world says. But the believer who chooses silence for the sake of Allah is doing something the world cannot see and therefore cannot understand. They are not giving up. They are handing up. They are taking their case, their pain, their truth, and placing it in the hands of the only judge whose verdict actually changes anything. Not the court of public opinion, not the judgment of people who have already made up their minds, not the audience of those who will believe what they want to believe regardless of what you say. The judgment of Allah, and that judgment is the only one that matters. So if you are carrying the burning right now, the specific burning of being misunderstood and choosing silence, know this. That burning is not weakness. It is one of the heaviest and most honest forms of trust a human heart can offer to Allah. And Allah sees every moment of it. I want to show you something. Something that happens the moment you choose silence. Something that most people never see because it does not happen in the visible world. It happens in the unseen one. Most people think silence is passive. That when you stop speaking, nothing happens. That the situation just sits there, unchanged, while everyone else moves and talks and forms their opinions. But that is not what happens. The moment you close your mouth before people and turn your heart toward Allah, something shifts. You are no longer carrying your case alone. You have handed it to Allah, Al-Wakil, the disposer of affairs, the one who manages what you cannot manage, the one who reaches what you cannot reach, the one who controls the hearts of the very people you are trying to convince with your words. And Allah does not need your defense to defend you. Allah does not need your explanation to reveal the truth. Allah does not need your words to change what people believe. Allah simply moves. And when Allah moves on behalf of someone, no human arrangement can stand against it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, "Indeed, we are sufficient for you against those who mock." Surah Al-Hijr, Ayah 95. These words were said to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I want you to feel the weight of them. Allah did not say, defend yourself and we will help. Allah did not say, explain yourself and we will support you. Allah said, we are sufficient for you. We will handle this, you focus on Allah. And let Allah handle those who mock. That is what happens when you choose silence. You step back and Allah steps forward. Think about someone being spoken about falsely. Every instinct tells them to respond, to correct the record, to defend their reputation before it is damaged beyond repair. And they choose silence instead. They make wudu. They make dua. They place their case in Allah's hands. And then, without any effort on their part, the truth begins to surface. Not because they forced it, not because they finally said the right thing to the right person, because Allah arranged it. Because that is what Allah does for the one who steps back and says, Ya Allah, this is yours, not mine. I leave it with you. The moment you stop defending yourself before people, Allah begins defending you. And the defense of Allah is unlike anything you could have arranged for yourself. I want to tell you a story, not as a historical lesson, as something personal, something that belongs to every person who has ever been accused of something they did not do. Her name was Maryam alayhi salam, chosen by Allah above all women, honored, pure, devoted her entire life to worship in a way that caused even the angels to marvel. And then the moment came that would test everything. She returned to her people carrying a newborn child, no husband, no explanation that the world would accept, no story that human logic could easily receive. And the people did not wait long. The looks came first, then the words, then the full weight of a community's judgment landing on a woman who had done nothing wrong. Can you imagine that moment? Your entire life of devotion, your entire character, everything you have given to Allah, suddenly invisible behind the accusation of a crowd. And every human instinct screaming, speak, explain, defend yourself, tell them the truth, make them understand. And Allah told her, if you see any human being, say, I have vowed to the most merciful a fast, so I will not speak to any human today. Surah Maryam, Ayah 26. Stay silent. Not because the truth was not on her side. The truth was completely on her side. Not because her explanation would not have been valid. It would have been. But because Allah was about to defend her in a way that her words never could. An infant spoke from the cradle. Not a scholar, not a witness, not someone with authority or credibility that the crowd would respect. A newborn child speaking in complete sentences, declaring the truth that Maryam alayhi salam did not need to say herself. And the crowd fell silent. Because when Allah defends you, the defense is beyond anything you could have arranged, beyond anything your words could have produced, beyond anything human logic could have predicted. Maryam alayhi salam did not win that moment by speaking. She won it by trusting Allah with her silence. And Allah responded in a way that silenced every accusation permanently. So if you are being accused right now, if your character is being questioned and every part of you wants to explain, remember Maryam alayhi salam. Stay silent before people and let Allah speak. I want to address something that makes silence so hard to maintain. The feeling that nothing is happening. You chose silence, you stepped back, you handed your case to Allah, and now days pass, maybe weeks. The situation has not visibly changed. The misunderstanding is still there. The people who believed the wrong thing are still believing it. And the silence feels empty, like a void, like nothing, like your trust produced no result and your patience achieved nothing, and your swallowed words were simply lost. But I need you to hear this clearly. Your silence was never empty, not for a single moment. Every word you swallowed for the sake of Allah was recorded by Allah. Every response you held back, trusting Allah to respond instead, was received by Allah. Every night you spent carrying something you could not say to people was witnessed by Allah in its entirety. Nothing was lost. Nothing disappeared into emptiness. Everything was given to the one who never wastes what is given to Allah. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, whoever believes in Allah and the last day should speak good or remain silent. Did you hear what that connects? Remaining silent is connected to belief in Allah and belief in the last day. Your silence is not just restraint. It is iman. It is an act of faith. It is your heart saying, I believe that Allah sees this. I believe that the last day will reveal what today is hiding. I believe that nothing done for Allah's sake is ever truly lost. That is not emptiness. That is one of the fullest things a human heart can hold. Think about someone who has been silent for weeks. They feel like the silence achieved nothing. Like they have simply been invisible while the situation continued around them. And then they realize something. Every single day of that silence was an act of worship. Every swallowed word was a dua. Every held back response was a declaration of trust in Allah. It was not empty. It was full of tawakkul, full of iman, full of the quiet recognition that Allah sees what people cannot. And Allah, who sees everything, has been watching every moment of your silence, recording it, honoring it, preparing a response to it that the world will see when Allah decides the time is right. There is something I want to make very clear. Silence before people does not mean silence full stop. It does not mean swallowing everything and carrying it alone. It does not mean burying the pain so deep that it has nowhere to go. It does not mean pretending the hurt is not real, or the injustice does not sting, or the weight is not heavy. It means choosing carefully who you speak to. Everything you cannot say to people, you say to Allah. Every explanation you are holding back, give it to Allah. Every accusation that burns inside you, bring it to Allah. Every injustice you are witnessing against yourself, lay it before Allah. Every word that is sitting in your chest, waiting to be spoken, speak it to Allah. Because Allah is the only one who needs no convincing. Allah already knows the truth. Allah already knows your character. Allah already knows what happened and what was said and what was meant and what was felt. You are not presenting new information. You are not making a case that Allah has not already heard. You are connecting, and that connection between a hurt heart and the one who holds all hearts is where everything begins to change. Think about the difference between these two moments. Someone who carries their pain to a friend. The friend listens. The friend sympathizes. Maybe the friend says the right thing, but the friend cannot change what happened. The friend cannot reach the hearts of the people involved. The friend cannot rewrite the outcome. And someone who carries that same pain to Allah, not to a friend, not to social media, not to anyone who cannot actually move the situation, to Allah. They sit on their prayer mat, they open their hands, and they say everything. Ya Allah, this is what happened. Ya Allah, this is how it feels. Ya Allah, you already know. But I am bringing it to you because you are the only one who can actually do something about it. And that prayer, that honest, broken, real prayer, goes to the one who controls every heart involved, the one who can soften what has hardened, the one who can reveal what has been hidden, the one who can turn the entire situation in a direction that no human conversation ever could. Say nothing to people. Say everything to Allah. That is not silence. That is the most powerful conversation available to a human being. I want you to think about something. Right now, in this season of silence and patience and waiting, you are planting something. You may not feel it. It does not feel like planting. It feels like standing still. It feels like nothing is moving. It feels like the situation is frozen and your life is on hold and the silence is producing nothing visible. But that is exactly how seeds work. You put them in the ground, they disappear, nothing visible happens for a long time, and then when the conditions are right, when the time that only Allah knows has arrived, something emerges. Something that the seed itself could not have predicted. Something larger and more beautiful than what went into the ground. Every moment of patience you are showing right now is a seed. Every word you are not saying for the sake of Allah is a seed. Every night you spend trusting Allah instead of trying to control the situation is a seed. All of it going into the ground. All of it disappearing from view. All of it being tended by Allah in ways you cannot see from where you are standing. Think about the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Mecca. Mocked, oppressed, unable to speak freely, unable to defend themselves or their faith or their Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam openly. Choosing silence and patience under a pressure that most of us will never experience. And it felt like nothing was happening. It felt like the silence was achieving nothing. Like the patience was producing nothing. Like the seeds were simply disappearing into dry ground. And then Allah opened Medina. And then came Badr. And then came the conquest of Mecca. And then Islam spread across the world. Every seed they planted in silence produced a fruit they could not have imagined from inside the difficulty. Their patience became the foundation of an ummah that changed history. And you too are planting something right now. You cannot see it yet, but Allah can. Allah is tending every seed, every moment of trust, every swallowed word, every night of quiet patience. And when the time is right, it will bloom. And you will understand the silence was never stillness. It was always growth. There comes a moment in the life of every person who chose silence and trust. There comes a moment. It does not always announce itself. It does not always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it is sudden. Sometimes it is gradual. But it comes the moment when Allah moves. And when Allah moves on your behalf, you will know. Not because you forced it. Not because you finally said the right thing to the right person. Not because you worked out the perfect strategy or found the right moment to speak or finally got the opportunity to defend yourself, but because Allah arranged it. The truth surfaces without you having to push it. Hearts soften without you having to convince them. People who believe the wrong thing begin to see differently. Doors that were closed begin to open. The situation that felt permanently stuck begins to move. And it moves in ways that only Allah could have arranged. That is what happens when you truly hand your case to Allah. Not halfway. Not with one hand still gripping it, fully, completely. With the deep trust of someone who knows that the one receiving the case is more than capable of handling it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, and sufficient is Allah as a disposer of affairs. Surah An-Nisa, Ayah 132. Sufficient, not helpful, not supportive, not one option among many. Sufficient, complete, enough, all by itself. When you hand your case to Allah, sufficient is who receives it. When you step back, sufficient is who steps forward. And when sufficient steps forward, nothing that was arranged against you can stand. No lie can hold. No misunderstanding can remain. No injustice can continue beyond the moment Allah has decided it ends. Think about what that means for your situation right now. The people who misunderstood you, the words that were said about you, the truth that has not yet surfaced, the doors that still feel closed, all of it, in the hands of the one who is sufficient. Al-Wakil, the disposer of affairs, the one who manages what you cannot manage, the one who reaches what you cannot reach. And Allah never leaves what is placed in Allah's hands without responding to it. Not your pain, not your silence, not your trust. Allah receives all of it. And when Allah decides the time has come, everything changes. Not because you finally spoke, because Allah did. And when Allah speaks on your behalf, nothing more needs to be said. Before this reminder ends, I want you to sit for just a moment in what you now carry that you did not carry when we began. You came into this reminder burning, carrying the specific pain of being misunderstood, of knowing the truth about yourself and watching people believe something different, of holding words that were true and choosing not to say them. And that burning felt like losing. But now you know what that silence actually is. It is not losing. It is not weakness. It is not emptiness. It is trust. It is worship. It is one of the most powerful things a human heart can offer to Allah. Every word you swallowed was recorded. Every night you spent in patience was witnessed. Every moment you stepped back and let Allah step forward was received. Nothing was lost. Everything was given. And Allah never wastes what is given to Allah. So stay silent before people. Say everything to Allah. Plant your seeds in the quiet. Tend them with dua. Water them with trust. And wait. Because when Allah decides the time has come, everything changes. Ya Allah, you see what we are carrying. You know the truth that people cannot see. You know every word we swallowed for your sake. Every night we spent in silence trusting you. Ya Allah, receive our silence as worship. Receive our patience as trust. And step forward on our behalf in ways that only you can arrange. Reveal the truth in your time. Soften the hearts that have hardened. Open the doors that feel permanently closed. Ya Allah, replace the burning of being misunderstood with the deep peace of knowing that you see, you know, and you will never let injustice stand forever. Make our silence full, make our trust complete, and make us among those whom Allah defends, so that when Allah speaks on our behalf, Nothing more needs to be said.
Amin.
If this